$1 million is not enough to retire. Say that sentence to almost anyone in America and they will argue with you. They have been told their entire working life that $1 million is the finish line, the number that means safety, the number that means you made it. Here is the math nobody runs for you. Using the standard 4% withdrawal rule that every financial advisor recommends, $1 million generates $40,000 per year. That is $3,333 per month. Think about that for a second. The average rent in the United States right now is $1,800 a month. Healthcare for a retired couple averages $800 a month. Food, utilities, insurance, transportation. By the time you finish the list, that millionaire has somewhere between $0 and $400 left over. You spent 40 years working to retire into a budget tighter than most people's current paycheck. And the number that was supposed to mean freedom barely covers survival. And by the end of this video, you will never look at the number $1 million the same way again. Stay with me, because this is where it gets dark. The $1 million retirement number did not come from careful calculation of your actual needs. It came from a marketing campaign. In the 1990s, financial services companies needed a clean, memorable number to sell retirement products. $1 million was simple, round, aspirational. It sounded like wealth. But here's what nobody tells you. That number was calculated for a different economy. In 1990, the average cost of living was a fraction of what it is today. $1 million in 1990 had the purchasing power of nearly $2.5 million. Today, nobody updated the number. The marketing stuck. The myth stuck. And 3 decades of Americans have been chasing a target that quietly lost more than half its real value while nobody told them. Think about that for a second. Every retirement calculator you have ever seen, every advisor who told you, just hit $1 million, every article promising financial freedom at that number, almost none of us adjusted for what $1 million actually buys in today's economy. In 1990, a gallon of milk cost about 70 cents. Today, it costs around $4. In 1990, average annual healthcare spending per person was about $2,700. Today, it exceeds $13,000 per person. The number stayed the same. The world around it did not. But here is the cliffhanger that should genuinely worry you. Even the 4% rule itself, the formula everyone uses to calculate retirement income, was built on market assumptions that current economists are now questioning. What happens to your retirement when even the math you trusted starts to crack? Here is the actual math nobody walks you through. $1 million invested, withdrawn at the historically recommended 4% rate, gives you $40,000 per year. That breaks down to $3,333 per month, before taxes. Now subtract federal and state taxes on that withdrawal, which for most retirees lands between 10 and 15%, depending on the state. You are now down to roughly $2,800 to $3,000 per month in actual spending power. Think about that for a second. Here is where that money has to go. Average U.S. rent, $1,800. If you own your home outright, property taxes and insurance still average $400 to $600 monthly. Healthcare for a retired couple, not yet on full Medicare coverage, $800 or more. Add groceries, utilities, car insurance, and basic transportation, and you are looking at total monthly expenses of $2,800 to $3,400. That millionaire retiree is breaking even, maybe, with zero room for a grandchild's birthday gift, a vacation, a major car repair, or an unexpected medical bill that Medicare does not fully cover. But here's what nobody tells you. This calculation assumes the stock market performs at its historical average every single year. It does not. If you retire into a market downturn in your first 5 years, which financial researchers call sequence of returns risk, you could be forced to sell investments at a loss just to cover rent. That single bad timing event can permanently reduce how long your money lasts by a decade or more. The $1 million retiree is not living large. The $1 million retiree is one bad year away from real financial stress. And almost nobody explains this before people spend 40 years chasing that single number. And here is the callback to what I told you at the start. The number that was supposed to mean Freedom is barely covering survival. In the best-case scenario, assuming nothing goes wrong. Meet Linda, 67 years old. Worked as a school administrator for 31 years in Phoenix, Arizona. Diligently contributed to her retirement accounts her entire career. Followed every piece of standard financial advice she was given. Retired 2 years ago with $1,100,000 saved, exceeding the famous $1 million target by a comfortable margin. She felt secure. She had done everything right. Her monthly withdrawal, following the 4% rule, gives her $3,666 before taxes. After taxes, roughly $3,100. Her rent in Phoenix, $1,700. Her Medicare supplement and prescription costs, $600. Utilities, car insurance, groceries, another $800. Total remaining at the end of each month, $0. Think about that for a second. Linda exceeded the $1 million target. She is not struggling because she failed to plan. She is struggling because the plan itself was built on outdated assumptions about what that number could actually buy. Last spring, her car needed a $1,400 transmission repair. She had to pull from her principal investment. The exact thing financial advisors warn against, because there was nothing left in her monthly cash flow to absorb it. But here's what nobody tells you about Linda's situation. She is not unusual. She is the median outcome for a retiree who hit the $1 million target in a high cost of living state. This matters to you specifically because if you are working toward that same number right now, you are likely planning for a retirement that will feel far tighter than you expect. The question is not whether $1 million is impressive. The question is whether it is enough. And for Linda, and for millions like her, the honest answer turned out to be barely, and only if nothing goes wrong. Linda told me about the night everything shifted for her. It was 3 months after the transmission repair. She sat at her kitchen table with her retirement statements and, for the first time since retiring, actually calculated her real monthly numbers instead of trusting the summary projections her old financial advisor had shown her years earlier. The number on the page matched what she had been quietly feeling for months. That something about her secure retirement did not feel secure at all. She had spent 31 years assuming the $1 million number was the finish line. That night she finally understood it was just the starting line for a much more careful set of decisions she had never been taught to make. Stay with me because this is where it gets dark, and also where Linda's story turns. She did not panic. She did not assume she was doomed. Instead, she researched what actually changes the math for retirees in her exact position. She discovered 3 adjustments that, combined, increased her usable monthly income by nearly $600 without taking on more risk. She relocated her primary banking and investment accounts to capture a higher guaranteed yield on her cash reserves. She restructured her withdrawal strategy to reduce her annual tax burden by withdrawing strategically from different account types, and she identified a part-time, low-stress consulting role in her former field that added $800 a month without significantly affecting her quality of life. Her new monthly cash flow, $3,700. Enough breathing room to absorb a bad month without touching her principal. That is what is waiting on the other side of the blueprint you are about to get. Write this down, because this is what most retirement calculators and most financial advisors never walk you through in enough detail. Step 1. Calculate your real number, not the marketing number. Take your actual expected monthly expenses in retirement, including healthcare, housing, and a realistic buffer for emergencies. Multiply that number by 12, then divide by your safe withdrawal rate, 2sev, which conservative planners now recommend at 3.5% rather than 4%, given current market conditions. For most Americans, this produces a target between $1.3 and $1.8 million, not $1 million. Step 2. Build a tax-diversified withdrawal strategy before you retire, not after. This is what they do not teach you. Withdrawing strategically from traditional accounts, Roth accounts, and taxable brokerage accounts in the right order each year can reduce your annual tax burden significantly compared to pulling from a single account type. Linda's adjustment alone added roughly $200 per month in usable income simply by changing which accounts she withdrew from first. Step 3. Plan for healthcare costs specifically, not generally. Healthcare is the single most underestimated retirement expense. Before age 65 and full Medicare eligibility, healthcare can cost a retired couple over $1,500 per month. Research your specific state's Medicare supplement costs years before you retire, not after. Step 4. Build a 6-month cash reserve completely separate from your investment portfolio. This is the buffer that prevents the exact situation Linda faced with her car. Sequence of returns risk means that being forced to sell investments during a market downturn just to cover an emergency can permanently damage your long-term retirement security. A dedicated cash reserve breaks that dangerous cycle entirely. This is what they will never teach you, and now you know it. Remember what I told you at the very beginning. $1 million generates $3,300 a month. After taxes, after rent, after healthcare. That number that was supposed to mean freedom barely covers survival. Linda exceeded the target by $100,000 and still found herself at zero every month, until she recalculated, restructured, and built a plan based on reality instead of outdated marketing. The number you have been chasing was never wrong because you misunderstood it. It was wrong because nobody updated it for the world you are actually retiring into. If this hit different, save this video. You are going to want to come back to this. The real retirement number is not $1 million. It is whatever number actually covers your real life, calculated honestly, before it is too late to adjust. That number is not scary once you know it. What is scary is finding out the truth after you have already retired.